to, first of all, welcome you, Vanessa, and thank you for being so generous with your time and coming to visit with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
For those visitors who are with us remotely or will be watching this either live now or later, Mary Beth and I are going to be speaking to Vanessa Pollock today from Pollock Properties Group, and she's going to be sharing with us her journey, her giving back, her being so entrenched in the community, locally and then also nationally and internationally for the company. She participates at a high level in our culture here at KW. So if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to go ahead and come type them in the chat and we will get to them. And Vanessa, I think instead of spewing out all these things and everything you've accomplished, would you share with us your journey?
Oh, goodness. Well, I was born in Wichita, Kansas. No, I don't think you want me to go back that far, but that is a true fact.
Are you really from there?
I really was born in Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
I grew up in Texas from the time I was 4 all the way through college. And I was a professional dancer. I actually danced with Ballet Dallas all during high school in the Corps de Ballet. And I was not planning on going to college. I was actually planning on being a dancer forever. But I auditioned for all of my favorite ballet companies as an 18-year-old and was not hired by any of them. So reluctantly decided to go to college. So I went to the University of Texas at Austin to get a BFA in dance. And it was the best thing I could have done because that's where I met the love of my life in a combined actor-dancer movement class. And it's what caused me to then move to the New York region because I married him very early. I want to be sure I locked that one down. We're coming up on 23 years married in July, actually.
Congratulations. That's a conversation alone, right?
Right? But we moved up here to chase what I thought was still going to be a dance career, but also his Broadway career. We moved to the East Village in the late 90s, and pretty quickly I realized that the dance trajectory was not going to go for me for my whole life long, right? And nobody had really talked to me about thinking big or thinking long term, and I'd had my entire identity wrapped up in being a dancer. And so it took me the better part of my 20s, once I was no longer dancing, to kind of figure out who in the world I was and what was my identity and what was my purpose. And in tandem, my husband was auditioning and doing incredibly well and starring on Broadway, and we were seeing that dream come true. But I got into real estate 15 years ago, and I know exactly how long ago it was because my oldest of 3 children, it was just before his first birthday when I first got licensed, and he is now a giant 16-year-old.
Wow.
So I can look at him and I kind of can see the growth of this real estate journey. But really it was after Hudson's birth that it became very clear to me that I wanted to do something meaningful that had to do with people and service. And I love design. I mean, you can see by my screen and my plants, I love to stage things. I love design. And my husband, who knows me better than anyone in the world, said, honey, you need to be in real estate. You love taking care of people. And you love houses and architecture and design. So I dove into real estate. And at first I was a rental agent in New York City, and it only lasted for 3 months. I got my license in New York City and then realized, oh my gosh, this is not the environment for me. I was sitting there in like a phone bank and everybody was as fast as you could picking up the phone to see who got the lead, right? Very different than now.
Yes.
But then I realized everyone around me was like lying and cheating and stealing, and I just I went home and I told my husband, I said, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I know I just started this, but that is not who I am, and that is not who I will be. And he said, okay, I understand. Well, what about instead of rentals, what about a pivot to residential sales? And some of our best friends had just bought a house and their realtor was looking for an assistant. So my friend introduced me, and after a 20-minute interview, I was hired to be this woman's assistant. Now, let's talk about how not following career visioning that is.
Yeah.
One 20-minute conversation, she hires me, and I say yes, right? So you can see that this probably is not going to end well. But I went into a working relationship with her where she really taught me so much. I mean, I learned how to write contracts, negotiate. I mean, I was doing everything with the idea that she was going to retire soon and hand her business over to me. After about 6 months of me working for free in exchange for that mentorship and that learning, and Charlie staying home with our baby, I realized, oh, she's actually not retiring, and this probably is not going the way that I had thought it was going to go. I didn't ask enough questions, and that's on me, right? So I found a way to get out of business with her gracefully. And basically, she said, look, if you want to stay in real estate, I'll loosen the non-compete, but you're going to have to start selling houses 30 minutes south of here. Hmm. So again, I'm like, oh my gosh. First I was licensed in New York. That's not happening. Now I'm licensed in New Jersey for sales. I've messed this up. And note to self, because we'd worked all this time for free and Charlie was home with our baby, there was no income. And we were living off of our savings account that was supposed to be the down payment on a house for our family. And we had gotten that down to 0. So I go home and I tell my husband, I'm like, you know what? I've messed it all up. She said I can stay in real estate, but I can only practice real estate half an hour from here. I got to go back to being a secretary in the city. I had been a waitress and a hostess and a bar manager and an executive assistant in the city all during my 20s. I knew that I could do that again to pay the bills. And he just looked at me and he said, absolutely not. What we just did in the last however many months was invest in your master's in real estate. No, you don't have the degree to show for it, but you have the wisdom, you have the knowledge. Go launch your business 30 minutes from here, and we'll live off credit cards until the closings start happening, because I know that they will, right? So I had, yet again, a limiting belief that my partner, who knows and loves me, just spoke so much encouragement into me and helped me believe in myself when I really was unsure. So I set up shop about half an hour south in Maplewood, New Jersey, in a town where we knew one family. And I'll never forget, I set up my desk and hung up some art, hung up a picture of my baby, put up my favorite quote from my pastor that said, put people first and success follows, and opens the door, and these 2 women walk through the door, and it's my first day and I don't know anybody and I'm terrified, and they walk straight over to me with these like looks on their faces. They're like, you're gonna make $100,000 this year. I'm sorry.
Who are you talking to?
Who are you and how do you know that? To which these huge smiles come on their face. And they introduced themselves and they said, look at your desk. Nobody shows up and sets up the way you did and is like getting after this like a business on day 1 and doesn't make 6 figures. Welcome to the office. We are so happy you're here. If you need anything, please let us know. We sit right over there. And again, they just poured encouragement into me, right? Now, side note, they did that for me. I want you guys all to think about who's poured that kind of encouragement into you. Like who's walked in the room and has taken your breath away and given you the strength to go through the day. And then my other question would be, who are you doing that for, right? Who are you showing up for right now to encourage? So thankfully, they were right. And within 90 days, I had multiple houses pending. I saw, really a quick turnaround to my business because I showed up and I lead generated every single day. And before I knew it, I was the top single producer for that red, white, and blue balloon franchise. And I was a single agent for over 6 years with them. And I learned an awful lot. I had 2 more babies. We just celebrated the 11th birthday of my middle child. She's April 19th. I had that baby in the middle of spring market as a single agent. And my goodness, I took her to a photo shoot when she was 9 days old. She pooped all over the cellar's floor on the dining room. Like, it was a long hustle as a single agent, and I learned so much. And yet, my life definitely started to get out of balance. And I had no work-life balance, and I was taking every single call, and I was missing bedtimes and bath times, and it was a lot. So,
Vanessa, about how much in production were you doing at that time when you really started to feel out of balance?
Yeah, between 8 and 10 million a year.
Yep.
8 to 10 million.
Yep.
And at that point, I'd heard of Keller Williams, and I heard that there were agents who took a day off. I was like, what is this magical formula that they have? How do I get that, right? So you can imagine I picked up the phone and I called the team leader. I was like, hey, I need to know about Keller Williams. And, for team leaders out there, like, I now know, like when you make something gravitational and you burn so bright, people will come to you, right? So I give a lot of credit to that team leader and to people who were there that I'd heard about that they were gaining market share. I'd heard that people were taking days off. And living that out, living out the models and the systems actually makes people gravitate to you.
Vanessa, to side note on that, I think that's a really great aha for some team leaders to just think about, we're not going to be able to identify every person that is that $1 million producer who's going to turn into the $60 million producer. And yet, if we tell our story loud enough and well enough, we should become a magnet to attract the right people rather than.
That's exactly right.
And
agents, that applies to our businesses too. Yeah, Julie.
That's right.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, and it's everyone, right? It's agents and leadership likewise.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So I joined, and I will never forget, within a couple of weeks, that team leader sat me down. She said, all right, I've observed something about you. And I don't think she meant this in a negative way. I took it as a positive way, but some people, they wonder. They said, you may not be the smartest, but you definitely are going to outwork everyone here. I've been watching you for the weeks that you've been here. You show up at your desk every single day, and you put in the time, and you do the hard work. And she said,
task over time.
Time on task over time. And you know what, guys? That's like in my bones from ballet. Right? I stood at the ballet bar 6 days a week for 15 years, doing the exact same mundane thing every single day to perfect my craft, right? So there are things that follow us into this that equip us. We're always being equipped. We're always being prepared for the season ahead. But then the team leader asked me, she said, what do you need? You as a human being, you as a mother of 3 and a wife and a human being. What do you need? I'd never had anybody in a business context ask me that. And I said, well, I need a day off. That's why I came here, right? And she said, okay, then it's very clear. I'm going to help you to self-select what your goal needs to be, and that's to build a team. The only way you get to have time off is to build a team. And here is the next team building class, and here's this class, and this class, and this class. She said, I need you to go down to Austin and train the presenter. And she just laid out the whole curriculum. And I honestly, I was so tired of trying to be the smartest person in the room. And I was so tired of trying to be the most creative and innovative person and figure it out all on my own. When I came here, I kind of made a deal and I said, I submit. Like, I'm going to do what the red book tells me to do. I'm going to do what my team leader tells me to do. And it might make me uncomfortable and it may not be my idea, and that's okay. That's actually probably good for me. Because more and more, I just knew that there were systems and models to follow, and I didn't need to reinvent anything anymore. So I did. I took a team building class, and I embarked on the leadership journey, which has been the most challenging and fulfilling and difficult and amazing ride since I got to Keller Williams. Failing forward all the time, making mistakes every single day, and choosing to get up and lead courageously every single day. And over the last, I will have been with Keller Williams for 8 years in July. We've grown the business to now there's 12 of us on the team. And around 60 million a year in sales volume. And it's been a wild ride for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been challenging as you've grown the business. Could you give any advice to some of our agents that how you said you failed forward, you picked up? Like,
yeah.
How do you even realize you're failing? How do you measure? How do you pick up? What gets you on track? How do you stay focused on your goals, and what gets you back on track when you have realized, I'm veering off in the wrong direction. I made some maybe mistakes, or a coronavirus shows up.
or that. Gary, I'm in Gary's mastermind. And that was a big goal. And that's May,
amazing. And please share, what does that mean? You're in Gary's mastermind, because it's pretty amazing.
So Gary Keller has a top agent mastermind that is his small group of top agents. And there's certain criteria in terms of sales volume that you have to hit in order to be in the group. And he gathers the group 4 times a year, and he just pours into this group of agents. And usually he'll have us read a book before we gather. And he had us read a book from the 1980s. And I'm the worst, you guys. My memory's the worst. I can't remember the title or the author. But it was about managing people, right? And the whole idea was there is management in leadership, right? And part of that is setting clear expectations and being clear about goals. And one of the, I'll just give you an example. I was underwhelmed with someone's performance on the team. And it was breaking my heart that this person was underperforming, because I love people and I sometimes want the best for them more than they want it for themselves. And I knew that he was potentially not going to be the right fit for the team much longer. But I stopped and I read that book and I said, have I been clear about my expectations and what I need from him in order for this to be successful? And I immediately pushed pause. We had a one-on-one. I clearly laid out the expectations in terms of this is what it needs to look like to win. This is what success looks like in this role. So unfortunately, when I woke up about a month later and none of that was being hit still, I knew I had been clear and the standards and expectations had not been met, and it was time for us to get out of business with each other. But that was me realizing that maybe I could have been clearer sooner. Maybe I could have explained it on a higher level earlier in the process, and realizing, and that is one of my biggest challenges, because I'm such a high D and a high C. So like I'm super driven and I'm really detail oriented, but my drive sometimes makes me not communicate the details in the way that I should. Yeah. Right. So I mean, like every day I realize, oh shoot, I didn't communicate communicate that the way I should have. And, you know, my team is so gracious with me, and they put up with me, and they know this about me. And I have a lot of work to do in that regard. But really, to answer your question, I think that it's about clear standards and accountability, and to communicate those, and then to allow the standards to do the heavy lifting for you, for sure.
Yeah. And you said here, which I love, I mean, asking great questions, digging deep and staying in curiosity, basically.
Yeah.
And then being able to gracefully exit out of business if the standards are being met. It's a real easy conversation. And so when there is a misalignment, it sounds like you're able to identify that because the standards were set.
Only if the standards are set and clear, and it needs to be in writing, right? I can't go back and say, well, you didn't do X, Y, and Z if it wasn't clearly written down somewhere and there wasn't a system for them to follow. So that's why I think sometimes systems are so important, especially when you have a huge heart for people. Let the systems be the guardrails.
That's great.
Right?
Love it.
The key to that is having them in writing, right? Because when you get in business with people, you set the expectations. Sometimes you have the conversations, and then people forget.
Yeah. And so, yeah, as an example though, for what our team is doing right now. So, you know, we woke up and we went into shelter in place on March 21st. And I remember that date because it was the date that my family moved into our new house. Bless you.
Thank you.
And so all of a sudden, you're not supposed to go anywhere, and now we've moved. And my poor kids, I mean, imagine, they like lose their school and their friends and their childhood home all on the same day. Like, it was nuts.
And they're stuck with their parents now for indefinitely.
Exactly. Which, you know, hasn't been so bad for the little ones.
No, it looks like you guys have really been enjoying.
It's so challenging for our young adults, though, the 16 to 18-year-olds, 16 to 20 maybe. Those are the ones, they're supposed to be independent right now. They're supposed to be flying. So that's a whole different webinar. But what I was going to say is, we as a team, that was on a Saturday, I immediately just said, the only thing I was clear on was, okay, 9 a.m. huddle, Zoom every morning. Like, we just have to be together. Our team has to be together. And everybody showed up every single day at 9 a.m. on the Zoom to talk through, like, how's everybody doing? Like, what does everybody need today? And what are you hearing today? And every day felt like a week, and every week felt like a year for that first month, right? And literally the only thing we were doing was taking every day by day that first month, pivoting the business, putting everything virtual, taking all of our brochures to digital brochures, redoing all of our marketing plans, like on the fly as things happen, right? But then a month went by, and I realized, you know, it takes 66 days to form a habit. And we're going to form good habits and bad habits during this season. And we're halfway through that 66-day challenge right now. And I realized if we didn't go back to really clear plans and goals and expectations soon, we would fall into the bad habit of just like, you know, this nebulous business where nobody's clear on anything. Mm-hmm. So we just as a team this last week have started working on our new 90-day vision for May, June, and July. And it's a collaborative effort. And I sent out a document, so it's all in writing, shared it with the whole team, and I'm allowing them to map out what does May need to look like for you, both business and personal. You don't have to put personal in if you don't want to, but if you want to, just like the 411, right? It's similar to a 411, asking a little bit different questions right now, though, because for us, May has 14 sales pending, right? We've been able to hold so much business together because of the strength of our team that we need May to be like all about transaction maintenance. But then you look at June, and June's going to look different. Your activities are going to be different because right now we have one home sale on the sales board for June. But that doesn't mean that we're not working. That doesn't mean we're not showing up, growing the business, telling our story. So we're already thinking about what does June need to look like. And then May is going to inform July. But we mapped out that our goal for the next 90 days, and then this gets into purpose and community, which I hope we get to talk about. We really, really wanted to be sure that the next 90 days, we made a difference in our community on a super high level, and we did absolutely our fiduciary duty to all of our clients and helped people with all of their essential shelter needs right now. But we mapped it out that our goal is to help distribute 10,000 personal protective equipment face shields to our healthcare heroes to help make that happen. And then on the real estate side of it is to get into so many conversations that by the time we get to the middle of the summer, and hopefully this crisis is lifted, that we'll be in 30 new relationships with people who might want to come to our area and buy or sell real estate. But we were very, very clear that right now, our goal is all about the face shields, and everything is about that. And if people want to talk about real estate, they will, and obviously we'll go there with them. But that had to be really, really, everybody needed permission to make that our one thing right now. And I got to tell you, since we all kind of said, yes, that's what we're doing, I don't know, this team, like, literally could take over the world. They're so amazing and so on fire, and we're so grateful to be able to live out the why of our business and the purpose of our business in this new way, because who we are and what we stand for and the purpose of our business has not changed. It just has there's a different need that we're meeting right now.
Well, I think that's a great segue to like dive in a little bit. And as well as being in Gary's top 100, you've been identified, your business has been identified by Mo Anderson as a culture keeper. Vanessa Pollock is absolutely a culture keeper. So could you just share with us a little bit about the direction that your business has gone in?
Yeah. So first of all, Mo Anderson, she's like all of our idols, right? Like, can we just collectively say how grateful we are for Mo Anderson? And she has been one of the biggest forces in my growth and my business development. When I first met Mo, she was very kind to spend a lot of time with me. And I shared my heart to be a light in this business world, that I wanted to, because remember, I'd been a rental agent and I realized it was a very dark industry. Instead of running away from the dark, I decided, you know what, I want to be a light in that industry. I shared that with her, and she gave me a goal shortly after joining Keller Williams, when I was probably at about 15 to 20 million a year, like things were growing. She sat me down and she said, I want you to get your business to 40 million a year. I want you to be on ALC. I want you to read all the John Maxwell books, and I want you to lead the culture committee. Go do that and then call me. Well, I immediately had to start thinking like a 40 million producer, right? And what did I need to do to get there? And it took me a couple of years, but I woke up one January and I realized, oh my gosh, we did it. The team did it. We closed 38 million and had another 3 pending. So in my mind, I was like, okay, that's 40. I emailed Mo and I said, look, I'm not doing this to brag, but I feel accountable to you. You told me to do these things, and I've actually done everything that you told me to do. But here's what I understand now. It wasn't about reaching that goal. It was about who I was going to become along the way. And in my pursuit of getting to that level of business, I had to invent and reinvent and dig deep to find the higher purpose for my business. And in that journey, that's when I uncovered my business model, Care, Serve, Give. That we care deeply for our clients in our community, that we provide the best service in the real estate industry, and that we give back both locally and globally on behalf of our clients. So I told her, I was like, it's a whole business model. I want to teach our whole industry how to do this. Can I tell you about it? She said yes. I wrote a class. I went out and taught it. Somewhere along the way, I was inducted as a cultural ambassador. And then that got me thinking even bigger, because I was already giving back for each closing that we had. But becoming a cultural ambassador made me go, oh, I need to think like real big. So that's when I decided to launch my own giving tool, Closing for a Cause, and we got that launched. And in doing that, along the way, yeah, Mo basically just kept pouring into me and asked me to help her plan the cultural summit several years ago, to which I thought I was gonna like throw up on the phone. You can imagine. So then cut to that was the year that she got sick with the flu and was not able to attend family reunion. So then the next call was, thanks for helping plan it. Now you're going to co-host it on my behalf with Kay Evans. Then I really wanted to throw up.
Then you passed out in your throw up.
I totally passed out. I kind of hyperventilate still thinking about it. And then Kay Evans, the most elegant, graceful, giving, phenomenal
Amazing.
leader, was just, guys, I can't even tell you. We would sit backstage or be on the phone practicing. She was encouraging me. She's just amazing. So I co-host that, and then next thing I know, I get on the phone and she says to Mo, well, Vanessa did great. I'm retiring. Let her do it from here on out. And Mo was like, okay. So God bless Kay, right? So that's been a remarkable journey to be able to learn from these women, learn from these leaders in this way.
Can I do a timeout for a second?
Yeah.
In that, do you understand that commitment started with, honey, get to 40 million, get yourself on ALC, read the culture committee, and read some books, which is something that we all probably have been told by somebody that cares about us, a team leader has shared with us, and how many of us have actually taken action and got it done, and then felt accountable to that person who encouraged you to get there, and look at the world that has opened because of your commitment to just
I will tell you that I am the most unoriginal person now. I literally, I need a leader. I'm a leader who needs good leadership, right? And I know that now. So when Mo tells me to do something, I do it, right? When Gary says to the mastermind group, go do this, we go and do it, right? Like, I don't need to invent anything. I need to follow in the footsteps of these incredible leaders in our organization who have gone and done and seen so much more than any of us have. And I'm so grateful for their pioneering spirits to have done it.
So then would your advice to the agents who are really trying to get their business started or to the next level is just follow the models?
Follow the models. Here's what I'll say. I have two Bibles. I've got the MREA, and I've got, yes, for me, the Bible, God's Bible. And now I realize if I just do what those books tell me to do, my path will be straight and successful, right? I don't need to veer off of either one of them. So yes, follow the model. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to customize it. That's one of the beautiful things about the company is we get to internalize and then go customize. And that's what I've done with Care, Serve, Give. That's what I've done with our culture. And I don't know if I can screen share. You can screen share,
yes, please.
And I hope I have the right one on. I do. So here's what I want you guys to see right now is my internalization of our culture is that you have to figure out what your purpose is. Then you have to add it to action. That is going to bring you profit, which is going to yield giving. Does that make sense? Purpose plus action equals profit, which yields giving. Now, Mo had me teach her breakout session this February at Family Reunion on culture in action. And we talked a lot about this culture formula during that breakout session. And here's what I want our agents to really hear and think about, because I think a lot of people are saying, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know my why. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing or how I'm supposed to help in the community. How can I make a difference right now? Now I'm going to give you a formula for your purpose. I don't have a slide for this one, so you have to take notes. So write this down. How are you wired for success by your creator? What are you good at that you just can't help it? And it's not bragging. Don't worry about humility. I just want you to think about, yeah, I'm really good at this and I'm gifted in this way. Like the creator of the universe put that in you. You've always been that way. It is your gift. Okay, so what is that? Then I want you to think about, what do you want to be known for? Personally and in your business. How do you want people to think of you and remember you? Maybe it's a character trait that you want, when they think of your name, they think of that trait. Okay, so that's the next piece. Now here's the third part. What breaks your heart? What is happening in the world right now that breaks your heart? That you know, if you can make a difference and make it better, that's probably why you've been equipped and called to be right here, right now, to make that difference.
What a good question.
So, how are you wired? What do you want to be known for? And what breaks your heart? That is your purpose equation. Now, my purpose equation 6 months ago looked very different than it does right now. My business 6 months ago for the last 5 years was about using my leadership and inspiration to inspire generosity in my community in order to fund music education for children in our school district who don't have access to it, right? That is what we have been doing for years. And then the other piece of it is using leadership and inspiration to inspire generosity through closing for a cause and through making sure that our giving practices are what we're known for and where all of our marketing dollars go. Well, then you wake up and you're in the middle of coronavirus, right? Yeah. Well, all we did was pivot as a team and said, we're going to use our leadership and our inspiration to inspire generosity and service in our community to go help our healthcare heroes right now, because that's what we need right now, and to be sure that there are face shields for every doctor and every nurse in our region. I'm in New Jersey. We're in the epicenter. It is serious. Awful and serious. And we immediately pivoted and said, that's our purpose right now. And the 90-day vision needs to reflect that. So look, I don't know how to make face shields. What? So I was inspired by a client and friend of ours who 5 weeks ago said, similarly, passionate for healthcare workers. He said, I've got a 3D printer. I'm going to start printing visors out of my 3D printer that doctors can put a transparency on, and I'll take them to doctors who need them. Now, this man, let me just tell you, is our middle school choir teacher. And in the last 5 weeks, he has put together a 3D printing alliance of 150 volunteers, including our team and including 30 people from our market center, because this is one of our Red Month projects. And we have all come together under his leadership to be sure that we meet the need for these face shields. And as of last night, he had distributed, with all of us participating with him, 9,077 face shields. Wow. Healthcare workers. I couldn't have done that. Yeah. That's teamwork. And that's me saying,
that's amazing.
Here's our purpose and what we need to help with right now, and let's come together as a community and help make that happen. So then that's our purpose. So now you go back to action, right? What action are we taking around that purpose? Well, you'll notice our social media. Everything that we're doing right now is, oh, hey, we need elastic for our face shields. Oh, hey, we just launched a GoFundMe to raise money for supplies for face shields. Oh, hey, we listed this house, and who do you know who can help us put together face shields? Our Kevin on our team just went through all of our seller nurtures, people we've been talking to for years. Didn't call them about real estate, just called them and said, hey, it's Kevin from Pollock Properties Group. Just wanted to let you know, we're helping out right now to put together face shields for healthcare heroes. If you want to donate or volunteer your time, we'd love to have you join our team. Can we send you information? Period. The amount of people who are volunteering right now, it's unbelievable. And here's what I'll say about this. I heard Jason Abrams say this on a Zoom last week. He said, right now we're gaining mind share that will amount to market share right now, in the future, market share in the future. What we're used to is you put a sign in a yard, you get market share, and then you go market it, and that gives you mind share in your community. You know what? That's not what the world we're living in right now. Right now, we're going to do the right thing. We've been called to do this. We know we have to make a difference right now. And there is a fringe benefit that mind share in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, people will remember that we were living out our purpose on a high level, and they'll call. When they think of real estate, I truly believe they will call us. So that's purpose plus action, making our care calls. As Mo's been telling all of us, are y'all making your care calls? Sitting down and texting 30 people to check in on them, see how they're doing, and ask if they want to volunteer to help, right? That is going to equal profit down the road. That is going to equal a robust pipeline when all of this passes. And then on the end of that, the giving, it's cyclical, right? We're going to be able to give more because we're still going to be a profitable business. We're going to be able to go back to funding music instrument rentals and taking care of the kids that we've taken care of for the last 5 years. And it's going to come full circle, and we're going to keep at the formula. But it's a timeless formula, and I think that every business can say, what is my higher purpose? What action will I take that supports it, and trust that the pipeline and the profit will come, and you'll be able to keep giving in the future.
Amen.
Great. So, Vanessa, how would you suggest agents who are maybe newer to the business or they don't have a team yet really develop a way that they can get entrenched in the community and give back if they're not really sure what their purpose is yet? They're going through these questions, they're trying to develop it.
Great question. The first thing that they need to do is volunteer to be on their culture committee. What's beautiful about our model is that the culture committee is going to find the way to serve during red month or red season, as it needs to be this year, to meet that need. And then if you don't have clarity of what your purpose is, go support someone else who does. I knew I wanted to support the healthcare heroes, right? Like, I knew that was a thing, but that wasn't something for me to lead. So I needed to go follow the young man who is leading that front. So I think for our newer agents, it's be sure you're on the culture committee, figure out what red month needs to look like, and then you're calling your people and you're saying, do you want to donate time or resources to what we're doing as an office? And you don't have to know, you just need to step into that model and let it kind of manifest within the team.
And Vanessa, that's such a great touch, because a couple of weeks ago, hopefully everyone reached out to their sphere and asked how they were, how their family is. And now we can follow up with hey, this is what we're doing. Would you like to help? So many people want to help all the time, yet they don't have an outlet. So giving them an outlet makes them feel great.
In the 24-hour period that our team said, okay, we need to reach out to people and see who can help, and we really decided to be more intentional about it. Jake, the leader of this, he texted me. He was like, 50 people signed up in the last day to help. I mean, it's just, they want to help. They need leaders to follow. And I think that's the thing I want newer agents to understand. You're a leader. You have clients to lead. You have family to lead. You have your community to lead. Even if you don't have a team and you're not in charge of the office, you are a leader. And people are looking to us to lead them. And if you know that people want to help, we're connectors. Let's just connect them to who the helpers are. And yeah, because people want to do it.
So I have 2 questions. One is how, explain a little bit about closings for a cause.
Yes.
How does one get involved with that, and what does that mean to some of our listeners?
So closingforacause.org is a website that I launched a few years ago that is free to everybody to use, and I don't make a penny off of it. I just launched it as a gift to the industry, so I want to be sure everybody knows I'm not selling anything from the stage or looking to make a buck on any of it. It's truly an expression of my purpose to hopefully lead the industry in this way. And basically what our agents can do is you can link directly from your website to closingforacause.org and make it a part of your brand. Let your clients know that whatever charity they're passionate about, you're going to make a donation to it upon the successful sale of their home. And the thing is, generosity is contagious, right? When they see that you're giving in the community, it makes them want to give. But like you just said, sometimes they don't know how. Well, often when we first started this, people didn't know which charity to choose. So that's why I had to develop the website with a landing page of suggested charities for them to choose from because they didn't know where to start. But here's what I do and I want you all to do. Well, let me back up. I found research that said that children who have generous role models who talk about generosity in front of them, those children grow up to be more generous and to give back in their community. So I felt like if part of my purpose is to inspire and lead people to generosity, I want to inspire and lead the next generation to generosity. Well, how do I get to the kids? I get to the kids through the parents. Okay. So I ask my clients, I say, hey, can you please discuss as a family which charity your family is most passionate about? And in doing that, I know that I've planted a seed and given those parents the opportunity to have a conversation with their kids about what charity is most meaningful to them, so that we know that our business is having a ripple effect within our local community, but also within the kids and the families that we get to serve. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to make it a part of your brand, link directly to it, have a templated email once all contingencies are met. That's a separate email that goes out to that client, says congratulations, we're in the home stretch. As you know, our sales goals are important to us, but even more so is our giving goal. And part of that is tied up in what you're passionate about. Please visit closingforacause.org and select the charity of your choice. Have a discussion as a family. Participate on a high level with your kids, and then let us know which charity you've selected so that we can give back to that charity after your closing.
That's awesome.
And it's been really, profound. And you can give as little as $1 if it's a charity that they pick that you don't support, or you could give $15,000 if it's like a 4-house domino of a ton of closings, right? And I will say I've done both and everything in between. And it's amazing when people see that you care about what they care about. It's important for us to have our own charitable activities that fill our purpose. It's also important to honor what our clients feel called to make a difference with. And so by doing both, I think it's really inspirational on a lot of levels.
So fulfilling. You are such a special soul.
Oh.
You really are. You really are. We have a great friendship, and I appreciate it. This question is a little off. I don't think we talked about it, but in listening to you talk, you sound like you are on fire, that this is really lighting you up this season, because you are allowed to help more in this season. And my question to you is, what's next?
That's the golden question for all of us right now, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I know. We have a company whose core values are God, family, business, right?
Yes.
And any of our viewers, don't get nervous that I'm going to talk about God. It's okay. Here's what's beautiful about our company is our company wants us to prioritize our faith first. And our company actually honors every single faith represented in our company and believes in the inherent equality of every single one of its associates. What our company's asking us to do is to dig deep into our faith and put our faith first, right? And when we put our faith first, that's when we truly understand who we are, how we're wired up to be successful, how we're being called to make a difference in our community. And what's next is more of that. That is past, present, and future. Us putting our faith first and living out who God's made us to be and called us to be, and honoring the diversity within our company and in our communities, and just loving people, that is past, present, and future. That never has gone away and that never will go away. And I think for me, I'm fired up because I know that the creator of the universe is at work right now. And I can see the good happening in the world through a horrific circumstance. And I'm not tone deaf. I am going to cry. I have dear friends who are losing people right now. And we are in the epicenter of this.
Yep.
So it's not, I'm not making light of it, but I am saying that I'm grateful that there are silver linings and that there are beautiful opportunities for people to pivot right now towards goodness and kindness, generosity and love, that I don't know if we were on that path as much as we are now. So that's what's next. More love, more kindness, more goodness, more faith first, and being there for each other through what is an unthinkable time. But I know that God is working through each one of us, and
He
you,
is. I can feel it.
And that I want us to have more of that.
Right. With your sister.
Yeah.
Well, that was made me tear up. I was like, oh gosh. So I think just one last question as we close out, and how do you, we know there's no balance. How do you, so in the search for healthy counterbalance, how do you counterbalance everything that's going on in your world? You know, sometimes Charlie's away for months on end filming. You've got a very successful real estate business. You've got 3 beautiful children. So how are you counterbalancing all of that?
Well, I will say that when I leaned into building a team, I knew I had to let go, right? And I knew that the only way that team building would be successful is if I started to dismantle my own pursuit of perfection. Perfectionism is rigid and it's unattainable, and it gives you, it holds you back because you often don't take action in the way you should because you feel like it won't be good enough or it won't be perfect. And so what I've realized is that I've had to let go a lot and surround myself by people who are with me pursuing excellence. And when they pursue excellence and we pursue excellence together, sometimes things are going to look differently than I would have done it, usually better, by the way. And yet that's an exercise in letting go and letting other people link arms with me to grow the business and to get things done in order to be able to take the weekends off, right? I went for a 3-year stretch where I did not work a single weekend. Now I have had, and that's since I've been at Keller Williams and while we were growing to 60 million. In the last year and a half, I have chosen to step back in for a couple of listing appointments every weekend as necessary. It's usually a total of 4 hours of work on the weekends a month, 4 hours a month. But that's so much is me saying, this isn't about me. This is about growing the team so that we can all have more balance, right? And then hopefully having the team embrace that too. Like, we've got incredible showing partners on our team, because I see the agents as my showing partners and the extension of the care, serve, and give in me. And I want the agents to have that leverage and that extension as well. So now we've got showing partners for our agents to help them have balance as well. So you can't do it all, even though you want to. And you need to be really good at attracting people who are your culture keepers. And I was just telling the team on a Zoom meeting, I said, we were made for this. And the reason why this team is what it is because we are all keepers of this culture together. And we all gravitated towards each other because we share so much of the same core values. We come from a lot of different faith backgrounds, but at the heart of it, every single person on our team is so servant-hearted and is so in the pursuit of excellence. And if you're willing to grow a team of like-minded people in that way, it will bring more balance. I struggle with it like anybody does, though. And what I'm realizing during this season is when I leave this like Zoom world, I need to put my phone down on the desk and walk out of the room and go be with my children for half an hour and not take the phone with me. Because I know if I take it with me, I'll get sucked in and I'll respond to everything immediately. That's
we all will.
Yes.
All three of us will. And so we all have to take that lesson.
Yeah, I'm allowed to leave my phone for 30 minutes. Everyone is allowed to leave their phone for 30 minutes in the middle of the day. Or even 30 minutes mid-morning, an hour for lunch, 30 minutes later in the afternoon, right? We can do that. And especially right now, right? So I'm still working on that. I have not mastered that, but I know that when I do that, the time that I spend with my kids is better. When I go see them at lunch, it's better. I will say that the people I'm praying for right now are the 2 working parents who are homeschooling. I don't know how they're doing it. For me, my husband, Broadway actor, his new show was supposed to start on March 17th and it got canceled. So he's home, unemployed, and he's homeschooling our kids, right? Amazing. So I have the blessing of him being home to help out. So I'm here with you guys, and we're able to focus on the real estate that we have and the face shield distribution because he's pouring into our kids. But for the people who have 2 working parents, my gosh, that's a different webinar, and I would love to hear their tips and tricks, because that is a real challenge. And I don't know that people are talking about that enough, the challenge for that. And the single parents too, you know, like my parents divorced when I was really young, and I can't imagine if my mom had to do both her job and me, what that would have looked like. So I have a real heart for the parents who are, it's really hard. And I think in that moment, that's where we as leaders need to allow just for a lot of grace for the season that we're in, for everyone involved, and a lot of grace for the kids, and a lot of grace for how much screen time they're having. And just, you know, be really, I don't know, just kind to ourselves and to each other.
Be kind.
Yeah.
Right.
Mary Beth, is there anything else that you wanted to add, or Vanessa, before we close out today?
Not for me. I could sit and listen to Vanessa tell her story and inspire me all afternoon. I'm sure we all have to have other obligations, but I really would love to even maybe call her back in about a month to check in and see how those face masks are doing, you know? and maybe get some of your team on to see how it impacted their lives to be part of something so
Oh
big.
my gosh, let's do that. I would love that so much.
Yeah, that would be
because
wonderful.
here's what I'll say, when we decided to pivot like this, I said, guys, I'm a disaster administratively. So who wants to bring their admin talent to this project? And our closing manager, who's awesome at admin, is very busy holding all of our transactions together. We had 2 of our agents step up and they're like, we will run with this. And so much of why, you know, I think 5,000 have been distributed in the last week has been because of them just diving in with their whole hearts and their whole talents, and everyone on the team being like, I'll cut elastic and I'll drive stuff here and I'll do this. And it's really, and literally, Kristen on our team today, she just messaged when we were talking about where we were all sourcing elastic. She was like, literally, this team could take over the world. So
you're
I love to have them on here.
You're absolutely exemplifying John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership, when you can develop others and now they can take on the dreams that you've had at a very high level. So
they're amazing.
Thank you so much for inspiring us.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, for doing this and for bringing it to our region and bringing it to our associates. It's really amazing that you guys are pouring into everyone on such a high level with so many amazing people. I was like, really? You want to talk to me? So thank you for having me on the list.
Absolutely. Julie, you want to close us out?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Vanessa, and I'd love to. I think that's a great idea. Mary Beth will have her and the Pollock Properties Group back and chat a little bit with all of them. And thank you to everybody who listened in with us today. And Tuesday we've got, we'll see you same 2 o'clock back here on Zoom. And we've got Holly Pressner and Katie Benson, who are leadership from the Experience Real Estate Group that Chris Suarez owns. So we'll see you back here Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Vanessa. Bye, ladies.
Thank you, ladies. Love you. Be safe.